Welcome to Full Frontal Fatherhood. My name is Julian Redwood, and today I'd like to talk to you about why us men often don't share our feelings. There's so much chatter about why we're unable to express our feelings and why we're unable to feel them. So many misconceptions about what happens for us as men. The reality is that us men feel a huge array of sensations, and science has even shown that we feel feelings more intensely than women. But we often don't feel safe nor have the place to share our feelings. We often don't feel like there's some place where we can go and talk about the insecurities that can come up for us as men. Us, like you women, feel a lot of doubts about whether or not we're good enough. It's just part of being human in our current society. There's also judgments about you, fears about our relationship, fears about our ability to be successful in the world. All really difficult things to acknowledge, to feel, and to express. But us men do feel all these things, and given a safe place to share them, we'll happily pour them out. I can't tell you how many men I've worked with where I've heard from the woman that he's incapable of being in touch with his feelings or expressing them. But once he feels safe with me, a whole world of complexity opens up, and it's shocking for the woman to hear all these things. So how can we as men and women create a place where it's safe for the men's feelings to come out? And at the same time create a space where it's safe for the women's feelings to really be heard. Often the reality is, as much as you women want to hear our feelings, it's much harder to actually hear them, just like it's hard for us to hear your feelings. When we're attached to somebody, when we're identified with them, it's very hard to be there for their emotional intensity. If it's a friend and they're going through all kinds of insecurities or doubts or anger, we can easily support them. When it's our partner, it means a lot more. And if they're upset or insecure, it can make us feel upset and insecure. Given how life can be so overwhelming, we want our partners to be calm and good and stable. And when they're not, we have a reaction to kind of push them away from that. As much as we may value feelings, the impulse in that moment can be to negate them. And that makes for an unsafe place for anybody to express their feelings. It's always said that men want to fix women's problems when they express their feelings. The reality in my experience is that men and women have a hard time listening to their partner's feelings and holding back advice. The advice is, go do this and feel better. It's hard, once again, to be with the reality of the other person's intense negative feelings and let them just be there. We want to tell them how to make them feel better so that we'll feel better. Being in a relationship for many years requires dealing with a lot of hard truths. Our own insecurities about being human, getting old, dying, losing our beauty, our strength, our intelligence, having ambivalent feelings about our partners, a lot of things that are very difficult to talk about. And so often they're just left out. But that leads to a dead relationship. To have a really good, solid relationship that can last decades and deal with all the complexities that life throws at us, we have to have a relationship where we feel safe enough to be honest with our partner about everything we're going through. Whether or not it's our fear about our genital size or our butt, or whether or not we're man enough, or whether or not we feel enough sexual attraction, or whether or not we feel good about our career. Whatever the intense thing is, to be able to go to our partner and share that and have it be received with open-heartedness and without judgment or cheerleading or even reassurance is really wonderfully healing and allows for that type of relationship that can really support both people to have a much happier life. So to do this, when your partner comes to you with feelings, if you're able to, just be there and look them in the eye, try to not fiddle with something, and listen. Keep your mouth shut. Show them you're a presence with your eye gaze, and don't respond. Just being heard is so deeply healing, just being received in that way. If there is an empathic, lovely response that you have in response to what they're saying, then go ahead. When they're done talking, you can give that to them. But mainly, we all just need to be heard. We need to feel somebody's receiving us so we don't feel so alone with all these complexities that we go through. When a man knows that he can share whatever is happening with him to his partner, he can relax a lot more, knowing there's a safe place in the world for him. And that makes us as men and women a lot more powerful in the world and much more capable of handling what comes at us. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Full Frontal Fatherhood. I would love to hear your thoughts about these difficult subjects. I know it's intense to share in a public forum, but if we can all be more honest about what we're going through, that makes it safer for all of us to just be ourselves. So be a little courageous if you can, And I'll see you next time for another episode of Full Frontal Fatherhood. Take care.